It work?
It tastes like a friggin' lemon bar.
It's good.
I didn't think I could have those at keto. Hi guys, I am May.
And I'm Brian.
And we're Keto Wizards.
Yay!
Yay! Today we are going to make Keto Lemon Bars, a yummy dessert that I had been missing since we've been keto. But I found a fantastic recipe online we are going to attribute to Hey Keto Mama and link below. And we're going to make it today. So I'm pretty excited. How about you?
You know what? I love lemons. I'm really excited about this.
I love lemon bars. So thought this would be great with a summer meal. Something light and fresh. If you want to bring a dessert to a barbecue, nobody is going to hate you for bringing this. So what are we going to do? First, we got to make the crust that goes at the bottom. So you get that nice crusty bottom. When you have a lemon bar, you have that kind of flaky flour kind of feel to it. Today, we're going to be using almond flour to create that crust and to create a big part of the body of the lemon bar. And we're going to sweeten with some erythritol, which is keto friendly, but mostly we're gonna flavor with fresh lemons. So we're gonna start with the crust. So we are going to measure out the crust. Hand me one of the bowls over there. Okay, we're gonna start with a cup of the almond flour. We're going to do a 1/4 cup erythritol. Do you use a lot of erythritol?
I do use a lot of erythritol. Typically, I also like the Lakanto monk fruit, for instance.
Oh,
right?
I love monk fruit too.
The neat thing about that particular brand is that they actually use a erythritol and monk fruit blend, which just blends to really good flavor. I know that erythritol can have a little bit of a cooling effect on the tongue, which is why it pairs perfectly with
the lemons. Yes. Yeah. So we added a 1/4 cup of the erythritol there, and then it's a pinch of salt. So we have some.
What kind of salt we're using?
This is pink Himalayan sea salt. In my fancy grinder there.
You should note that with this grinder, you have to make sure that you take the bottom off.
Which
pointing that out
Brian
because
forgets
I forget that all the time, and then I'm like, your salt shaker's broke.
It happens. I've done it many times.
What we're going to do is we're going to line our 8x8 cooking dish with parchment paper. The reason we're going to do that is because using almond flour can make them a little crumbly. So trying to get them out of the pan, you're going to risk destroying them a little bit. So we're going to line this, and one of the best ways you can do that, handy dandy pair of scissors. But you want to make sure that you leave it kind of long on the edges. So when you pull it out, you can just grab the paper from the edges and just lift out without it being crumbly. So that is how I do my parchment paper. And you can get fancy and measured if you want.
That sounds like a time and effort kind of
I
thing.
know. We're gonna make it best we can.
You know, maybe if it's Thanksgiving, get your grandma coming over. You probably want to make it a little fancy because you need to impress grandma, right?
Or your granny aunt. You never know. Scissors in there. Cut these down. That's a pretty deep dish. And yeah, so we're just gonna start with the salt and the almond flour and the erythritol, and you just whip that up really good.
So now, how are we going to bind all that together?
We are gonna bind it with butter. Okay. So you need 1/2 cup of butter. I knew that, and I had it ready. So hand me that, the yellow, big yellow.
The yellow one?
Yeah. So I did get this room temperature, but we do want to melt it, so we're going to melt it in the microwave for a few seconds to get it melted. Now that we have melted our butter, we're going to add that to our dry ingredients, and that is going to be our crust. And we are big fans of the Kerrygold grass-fed Irish butter. That is,
Well, first of all, it's delicious. If you've never had it, it will change what you think and feel about butter.
and if you are living the keto lifestyle, butter is amazing on most things. And get excited because you can cook with it in so many ways. We like to eat as clean as possible, so we try to do the grass-fed, but it's just also delicious. It's so good. All right, so that is our crust. That's what that's gonna do. So we are gonna put that in our pan.
Would you like spatula?
I'm gonna use my fingers with my food safety glove. Because food safety. So, we want our delicious, buttery, flaky crust. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pat this down as thin as possible so that it spreads out entirely on the 8x8 pan. And we're gonna bake this first so it kind of firms up before we put our lemon batter on top. That's why we want it nice and thin so it gets that little bit of crispiness to it.
So why wouldn't you want to just do this all at once?
Firstly, then you won't have that crust. Like, one of the delicious things about lemon bars normally is you got that like nice chewy flaky crust at the bottom. If you were just to put this on the bottom and then just put your lemon cream on top, it's just gonna turn into a big mush. You want the layers. The layers are what add definition, it adds flavor, it adds the different textures that makes food delicious. We love food. And we want to make sure we get those layers and those flavors all in one place. All right. So once we patted that down as flat as possible, we spread it out as far to the edge of the 8x8 pan. We are going to put this in our oven that we've already preheated to 350. It's going to bake for 20 minutes, and then we'll take it out and let it cool for another 10 minutes before we put our lemon curd on top. So put this in the oven.
Yep.
All right, ready for our lemon curd. Well, that's
Lemon
me.
curd.
All right, Brian's gonna be my lemon guy here. Also, you like to do the things with the fruit too, do you do
Oh
this?
yeah, absolutely. You can do that. Sometimes you can pop them in a microwave too if they're kind of oldish. It's a good idea too.
These are fresh, but I did get some that were nice and squeezable, but so you like to actually like rub the lemons to kind of break the juices up a little bit?
Exactly. Get those kind of juices flowing,
Because
easy
we
to
want
get out.
all the juice we can get from these lemons
Yep.
because we want it to taste like lemon.
So then I'm just gonna kind of rinse these off too, because you never know, what's on the outside of your lemon peels, and since we are gonna eat it, I like to make sure that they're a little extra clean.
All
Alright, so we're gonna zest one of these first.
We're gonna zest one of those, and then we need the juice of all three in there. And while you're doing that, I'll measure out our flour and sugar. Almond flour and erythritol.
Typically when you're zesting, you just wanna kind of go right down to where it starts to change color a little bit. You don't really wanna have a lot of the white part of the rind in there. That gets kind of bitter, not very good. You're just looking for that nice zesty lemon. Yeah, zesting things, any of your citrus, to me, just adds that extra bit of pop in whatever you happen to be making. Whether it's, lemons, limes.
Oh, it smells good.
You know?
Oh, and so the rind is what has the lemon oil in it too. So the lemon oil is what is giving the depth and the flavor to the zest. So if you've ever seen like essential citrus oils, most of that oil is coming from the rind, the zest of it. And so you can smell those oils just coming out of that.
All right, so we're just gonna kind of squeeze these right in here. I'm gonna try to catch, I don't know if there's any seeds in these. Sometimes there are, sometimes there's not. Pretty good. So all 3 lemons you said?
All 3, yeah.
Oh, these are some nice lemons, nice and juicy. And they really smell just fabulous.
So we have the zest of 1 lemon. We have the juice of 3 lemons. I'm adding 3/4 cup of the confectioner's erythritol. And this is Swerve, this is the name brand. You can go get the generic. There's lots of brands out there. And you know, I don't know if a monk fruit mix would change the flavor that much. Like you were saying, the erythritol has that kind of cooling effect, which would complement the lemon. So I would recommend erythritol, but if you have monk fruit or if you have stevia, you'd have to know your measurements on stevia there. But we're going with erythritol, and then we're gonna go with 3/4 cup more almond flour here.
So with the almond flour, is there like a certain kind of fine grain that you're looking for, or?
It depends on your preference on texture. Almond flour tends to have a coarser texture than some of the other flours like coconut flour, tapioca flour. So this has got a slightly coarser texture, except this brand, the Bob's Red Mill, there is a super fine. So it's ground up a little finer than if you find, you know, your generic almond flour, or if you try to grind it yourself.
Right.
A lot of people can grind it themselves. If you have a food processor, you can definitely do that with blanched almonds or non-blanched almonds if you like the outside for some extra texture. So if you want something more nutty, if you want a nuttier texture to your bar, then you can go with like an unblanched.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we're just gonna do the super fine almond flour in there. And our lemon curd is going to have 3 eggs.
So we're just gonna whisk that all together?
We're gonna
Combine it
whisk
all?
that all together, and it's gonna be our lemon curd, or lemon custard, I guess, with the eggs, right?
Right. Eggs. It's like a keto superfood.
Got that mixed up, and we will put this on top of our crust as soon as it comes out of the oven and it cools.
All right.
All right, so this has been baked for 20 minutes, and we've cooled it for 10. How does it smell already?
It smells like really, really good. I could almost, yeah, I could eat that just
Like a cookie?
Yeah. No, that might make a nice cookie. I'll have to play around with that idea.
All right, so we have our lemon curd we made with the eggs and the erythritol, some almond flour, and the lemons. I forgot to add the dash of salt, so I'm gonna do that right now.
Gotta make everything is properly seasoned. Gordon would be really upset if we didn't do that.
And the reason we add salt to desserts is because it brings the sweetness out, especially in the natural juices of the fruit. Since we're short sugar, the salt brings that sweetness to the surface a little bit more. So we want to make sure we don't forget the salt when it says salt. All right. So
Yeah, and really don't be afraid of salt on keto. A lot of times, you know, we've heard so much the dogma over the years that salt is bad for you, salt is bad for you, salt is bad for you. The problem is that on a ketogenic diet, a lot of times you're losing salt and you're losing minerals You're losing your sodium, your magnesium, your potassium. So it's good. It's another reason to use a good like Himalayan pink salt or like a Redmond's real salt or something like that, because it's got those minerals in there, and you really, really need them. It's really important.
All right, so we poured the custard in.
All right, so
It's
now we're
gonna go
going
in the oven.
back in the oven.
Back in the oven, still at 350. It's gonna cook for another 25 minutes.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is our lemon bars out of the oven so that it's been cooked. And the recipe said to let them sit for 30 minutes before you cut into them. These have been sitting for about an hour?
An hour.
About an hour or so. So yeah, it's cool to touch. So we're gonna lift them out. We're gonna cut them up here. So this is why the parchment paper is really nice, because you can take the whole thing out.
Brilliant. It's like you planned it that way.
You think? So, and then it's nice and flat, and you see, can't see the layers yet. And to make sure it is the ultimate lemon bar, because what's a lemon bar without powdered sugar on the top?
Right.
Right? So what we're gonna do, take some more of the confectioner's powdered swerve erythritol. I'm gonna put some in here to make it nice and pretty and a little extra sweet, because we want that lemon to come through, but we really want this to taste like dessert, right?
Right. Right.
How's that look?
That looks pretty tasty, actually.
Okay. We're ready to cut into it?
Yeah.
All right. I can't remember how many servings this makes, but I'm thinking 9. Does that look like if we did like 3 by 3? Let's do it like that. I think that's a good estimate size.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
And this, this is such a great little recipe right here. It's a nice, base start. There's different things that you could obviously do. You could make a little, little raspberry sauce maybe to go on this,
or
right?
blueberry.
Or blueberry.
Lemon and blueberry. I love
Go
lemon.
great together. Maybe garnish it with a little bit of mint.
You could do that too, yeah. It's got like kind of that custard texture I like. All right. Let's get this little corner piece here.
Ooh, look at that. It held together nicely.
Yeah, and you can see the layers. You see the crust at the bottom. And why don't we see what this tastes like? How about that?
Sounds like a fabulous idea to me. I can tell already that this is going to be super moist and delicious.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Tastes like a lemon bar to me.
Yeah, that is definitely good. It's got a nice soft texture to it. The erythritol, as we thought, gives it a nice little cooling effect on your tongue. The lemon comes out really, really nicely.
I like the crust. It's firm, and it has that flakiness that.
Right, but it's still moist, which is really, really nice. A lot of times when you're using almond flour, it's not always like a moist end product, but this actually worked really, really well.
So our keto lemon bars, which I believe, if I remember the recipe, are approximately about 5 net carbs for that block that we just had, and we split one. So I mean, and that was enough for me.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
So if you want to get luxurious, you can have a giant lemon bar. It's delicious. So those are our keto lemon bars with some beautiful layers in there. The texture is just right. There's absolutely no egginess to it at all. It's mostly the lemon and just the smoothness of the almond flour in there. So yeah, if you make this, let us know what you think. Put it in the comments below. And if you like this video, want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and hit the little notification bell so you can see more.
And don't forget to like it.
Don't forget to like it.
If you like it.
So bye from Keto Wizards.
Bye.
Just goes in like that.
Just goes in like that?
Yeah, you press it in and you just start baking it.
Wow.
Double checking. Oh, you know what?
What?
And butter.